almost every family has got a person struggling with an addiction. And when we're talking about addiction, we cannot just relate or limit it to substance abuse. One shocking statistic is that, the number one addiction in Zambia is not drugs, it's not alcohol. The number one addiction in Zambia among young people is pornography, sex, and masturbation.
Welcome to Reclamation, the podcast where conversations meet practical insights, guiding you through the maze of behavioral science to empower better public health outcomes. With a passion for bridging the gap between medicine, psychology, and sociology, Tabo brings a unique perspective to every episode. Get ready to reclaim your understanding of health and behavior. This is Reclamation.
Welcome to another episode of Reclamation podcast. In today's episode, we're going to have a conversation with a very knowledgeable and inspiring individual. He's an addiction recovery coach, he's a substance abuse activist, and he's a public health specialist as well. This is Daniel Mbazima. Welcome to Reclamation, Daniel. Thank you so much for making the time. I know how busy you are and how many hats you wear. So,
thank you so very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so I've been trying to reach out to him for such a long time and he's been so busy. He's doing so much amazing work that he's going to be sharing with us. And I just want to start by finding out why he does what he does. The addiction recovery coach, substance abuse. Where did that come from?
So it's mainly out of lived experience. Yeah. I struggled with drugs and alcohol for a very long time, 12 years actually. During that time, I got expelled from 2 medical universities. Wow. I got arrested a couple of times. I was admitted to China 16 times. And to some extent, it was almost suicidal. So as I am right now, I'm 6 years sober.
Wow.
That's 6 years drug-free, 6 years alcohol-free.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and I have dedicated my life to helping people struggling with substance abuse. So that's where everything's coming from. So it's lived experience, passion, and yeah, pretty much anything that has to do with substance abuse, especially in Zambia, as well as mental health, that's something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Wow,
yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned you've been there 16 times. Were you actually, is that an estimate or you're actually keeping count?
The last time I checked, it was 16 times. And there were times when it wasn't counted. So it was a long time. It could be maybe 20 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was this 16 times over a certain period of time? Like over what spanning of how many? In 1 year, in 5 years?
So for 4.5 years, that's the latter part of the years that I spent in addiction, I spent time in 3 places. It was either China jail or Chibolia. Yeah. So it was during that period. Yeah. The last 4.5 years of my time in addiction.
Wow. That's a really long time. And that just shows how much addiction really rips a part of your time and your life as well.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, you were at Chibolia. Was that because of your addiction? What was the connection there?
Okay, so mainly just to take you back to how it started. Like I said, I've been expelled from 2 medical universities. I was studying abroad. Yeah, okay. I was studying medicine. I went there and I began experimenting with alcohol. But something happened that I did not understand then. There are actually 3 types of people that drink. We have the first classes of people that can drink socially. And then we have the second classes of people who drink because of lack of opportunities, lack of financial support, lack of education or skill. So they drink mainly out of frustration to pass time. But if you take such a person and then you give them an opportunity, they would instantly change. Yeah. But I fell under the third class known as an alcoholic. So for an alcoholic, it means you cannot control your intake of alcohol in any way. You absolutely lose control. So for an alcoholic, it means when they drink, most of their finances go there. Their relationships get affected because of drinking. They cannot work. They cannot handle business. They cannot go to school. There's a blacking out, the fights, the argumentativeness and, just resorting to inferior environments and inferior companionships, loss of opportunities. That was me then. So I felt alcohol was not doing it for me. That's when I got introduced to heroin and cocaine. And, when you're in addiction, I'm not the type of guy that will come and then go like, it was bad. In the beginning, it was good because quite frankly, there's no there's nothing that will give you the feeling that, cocaine or heroin gives you.
Yes,
so I ended up getting hooked to that, but as time went on, got expelled the first time, went back, was given another opportunity, got expelled the second time. When I came back after 7 years, I was in a position where I was now looking at my friends and people I had left back home, even my young ones, people graduated, people started buying cars, building houses, getting married.
Life is moving on.
Yeah, starting families. And that was very depressive for me because I just became an addict, like full-blown addict. So I was depressed. So we had the addiction, then we added the depression. And that's what made me, resort into, or rather increase my use or my dosage. So because of that, I had to steal from my family, manipulate, and do a number of things just for the sake of me having the drugs and the alcohol. Then it was during this time that, because of what I was going through, I had to leave home, lived in Chiwolia for a bit. Because of my addictive habits, I ended up getting arrested a number of times. And we didn't have any rehab centers in the country. The only place that was there was Chenama. So every time I needed to detox or things got out of hand, I would end up in Chenama.
Oh, that's quite a journey you've been.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting looking at that and then what you're doing right now. And I mean, public health specialist, so you might even have a better understanding. There's been so much noise about whether Zambia has an alcohol or substance use problem or not. So I'm curious to know what you think about that, looking at how you've explained that there are 3 types of people who drink. Generally in Zambia, what do you think about people who say that? Is it something we should worry about? Is it a concern? Or are we all falling under the type A, which is social drinkers?
It is a great concern because right now as we speak, almost every family has got a person struggling with an addiction. And when we're talking about addiction, we cannot just relate or limit it to substance abuse. One shocking statistic is that, the number one addiction in Zambia it's not drugs, it's not alcohol. The number one addiction in Zambia among young people is pornography, sex, and masturbation. And then after that, we have social media. And food is also on the increase. So we are facing an increase in the number of people struggling with addiction. But when it comes to substance abuse, it's very evident. Every family has got that one child, that one brother, that one sister, that one uncle, father, mother that is struggling with an addiction. We like to, especially under alcohol, we like to believe that we fall under social drinkers, but the truth is it's the opposite. I mean, not long ago, our women were voted top in the whole country. And right now, accessibility to substances it's off the roof.
Easy.
Yeah, it's really, really very easy and very cheap.
Yeah.
In the whole, yeah. I think in Africa, our substances must be close to the cheapest.
Seriously?
Yeah. You can get heroin at 10 kwacha. Yeah, that's how it is.
I had no idea it was that low.
Yeah, you can get cocaine from 50 to 100 kwacha. That's for rocks.
So is the demand that high? Why is it cheaper? Why do you think it's cheaper in Zambia? Is it
porous borders? You can simply just walk into in and out of our borders, and it's very, very accessible. Porous borders. We don't have strict laws. We don't have strong interventions as far as addiction is concerned. We've pretty much focused on other things. Our laws and policies on mental health are very low. So, yeah.
This sounds like a disaster waiting to happen when you explain it like that.
It is. It's just if you can see the type of, not that it's related to addiction, but if you can look at what's happening right now, we're having strange behaviors moving up and down. Like it's just strange. Things that are happening are pretty much strange. So it is a ticking time bomb. Yeah.
Okay, so now
scary.
Very, very scary. So now I'm wondering, how do you determine where you fall? Since a lot of people would automatically think we regard ourselves higher than we actually are. So you think you are a type A. Yeah. So what makes the difference between an A, B, and C? How would somebody roughly? I know you'd probably need to get proper assessment and but roughly, how would you know to say, okay, I am this type?
If it's affecting your relationships, then that's a problem. That's number one. We have a situation where people say like, no, but I'm able to work, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do that. When I drink, I don't cause any problems. I drink alone.
The functional.
A lot of people say functional.
It's even a bragging term now.
Exactly. But if you drink alone and you don't cause problems, you don't black out. But the thing is, you are denying yourself and your family enough time for you to build and enjoy a relationship. So you're resorting into isolation and your loved ones are there wondering to say what's going on. Yeah. So you're self-medicating. That's a major indicator. The second thing is, if you're able to abscond your priorities such as school, work, or business or whatever it is, and your input is not 100%, that's an indication that there's a problem. Another thing is, if it's affecting your finances, then you know it is a problem. If you're increasing in dosages or you're taking substances for the sake of dealing with stress, anger, or other things, then it is a problem. And failing to sleep without having something, that for sure is a problem. Yeah.
Wow.
And I must add, all these things are coming from a deep pain, mainly related to mental health things. Every time I'm given a chance to speak, I like to divert to mental health because when we're growing up, we are taught what to do whenever we injure ourselves. I can approach a kid who's 10 years old and ask them, what do you do when you cut yourself? They know. What do you do when you have a headache? They know. What do you take when you have stomach pains? Everybody knows. So as we're growing up, what happens is, we know what to do whenever we're physically injured. And as a result, the physical injuries reduce. But what increases, on the other hand, are psychological and emotional injuries. Injuries such as failure, injuries such as, unemployment, injuries such as disappointment, injuries such as heartbreak, injuries such as, not feeling like you're good enough. All those things keep increasing. Financial stress lately among young people, all these things keep increasing. And they make us so tense and so angry. And as a result, we need to cool off and we need to find something that's going to calm us down. And in most cases, people choose to addictive behaviors or, addictive substances. The fastest growing addiction right now is gambling. You can see betting places everywhere, and worse off, it's on our phones. So it is an addiction crisis.
Now that you break up gambling, I'm wondering what differentiates one addiction from the other? Why is it? Is there anything contributing? If somebody is an addict, is it easy for them to be an addict addicted to multiple vices? Because I remember you mentioned to say you were the type C person. So does that mean you were prone to getting addicted to other things as well? Or is it just alcohol that would be for you? Are there people who are more prone to alcohol while others are more prone to betting or to sex and masturbation and porn?
So the whole science behind it goes back to dopamine. That's just how it is. I will explain it from the substance abuse perspective, then I'll take it back to gambling, just for me to talk about different things. So we all have what is known as dopamine in our minds, and dopamine is that feel-good hormone that we get whenever something good happens or something extraordinary happens. For instance, we will be having this interview, but if my phone flashes and I receive money, there will be a switch up in attention. Because I'll be excited, I'll be calculating the budget and, izangena. Exactly. You get what I mean? Yeah. Ichola. So, and it's just that feeling that you get when it's your birthday and somebody surprises you with something that you've ever wanted.
That high,
so the way dopamine works is, I'll just quantify it for people to get a clear understanding. On your worst day, a day you don't feel like engaging, would say your dopamine is at 40. A day when you don't feel like, relating, talking to people and everything. Nothing extraordinary has happened, but you're just feeling low. I would say your dopamine is on 40. Normal day, I would say your dopamine is at 50. But there are two things that get to release dopamine naturally. We've got food and we've got sex. So we've got low day 40, normal day 50. We've got sex at 92. Then we've got food at 94. The highest level of dopamine that a human being can get to is 110. That means this person is happy, vachilamo. It happens to very few people in life. Let's say maybe you win the lotto, you become the president. Just few incidents can increase your dopamine to 110. That's like the limit. So I'll go back. Low day, we've got 40. Normal day, 50. We've got sex at 92. We've got food at 94. We've got highest level at 110.
That's how you're saying those numbers effortlessly.
Yeah. So the shocking factor is drugs such as cocaine and heroin increase your dopamine level to 1,200. Yeah. That's the high.
Wow.
That's the So
that's way beyond anything else in life will ever get you.
Exactly, yeah. You never feel that good with anything in life. Yeah. Even if you're given $100 million, you can't compare it to the high that you get whenever somebody's high. So initially people are actually addicted to that dopamine feel. They're addicted to that rush. Now the tricky aspect is when you take a substance, your mind will release, certain hormones to sort of suppress the release of dopamine. It will tell you like, look, you're overfunctioning, you're releasing too much. So it will have to try to calm down. So it will suppress that. So in turn, what happens is if you had one fix, one won't be enough. You need about 3 to feel that same effect. 3 won't be enough next time. You need about 5, and just so on, 6, 7, just like that. So what's happening is you're increasing your dosage and you're building tolerance, and in the process you're getting addicted. Now you get to a point where if you do not take the drug, that's when withdrawal syndromes happen. So the common example I like to give is, let's say like we take you, then we put you in a desert and we ask you to walk as long as you can without food, water, or an umbrella for shelter. It's a desert. I mean, it's freaking hot. And after you walk, maybe you've done like a day and you've exhausted all your energy. We put you in a room like this, and then we put a glass of cold water in front of you. And then we ask you, we say, we want you to think about your loved ones. It's impossible, because what your body wants is just the water. Even if we give you dollars or something, it's impossible, because what your body needs is just that water. Even if we say you pray, you can't, because your body just needs that. So that can be compared to the type of craving that a person has whenever they're on drugs or on alcohol. They get to a point where when they don't have that substance, they can steal for anything. They can manipulate, they can kill just to get to that drug. That's pretty much how it works. So that's on a substance side. So for a person who is struggling with a gambling addiction per se, when they are gambling, they get that sort of rush, that thrill. And it's the same as somebody's high on drugs. So they will gamble and they'll be excited. They get to lose money or they get to win money. But what they want is just that same rush. And it happens within seconds. It's not something that happens for a very long time. So even if a person is using heroin, there's a point where it quickly goes up, or the cocaine quickly goes up, then it acts in reverse, so it goes down. Even for alcohol, for a person that's drinking too much, there's a point where it quickly goes up, then it acts in reversal. That's where the blacking out and, everything happens. So even for a person addicted to gambling, that rush gets them so high that when they lose or they win, they want to feel the same thing over and over again. And the fact that there's a psychological effect to it, which involves money, and, money is a major motivator. We have people gambling over and over again. So it all goes back to the relationship that we have with dopamine. And each and every one of us can be an addict. That's just how it is. So when we quantify or describe an addiction, the easiest term I like to use is anything that gives you temporal pleasure but has got negative consequences. That's pretty much it. So we are all potential addicts.
Okay, like looking at the definition you've given, I'm wondering, like after everything you've explained and then you've ended it with the definition. So I'm now wondering to say, are there activities that we generally as a society feel are healthy or good, but then can turn into addiction? Like, for example, exercise, we're big on trying to get people to stay fit, and can that turn into an addiction as well?
Exercising can turn into an addiction, and it does turn into an addiction. And when we're talking about an addiction, there is nothing like a good addiction. Like I said, anything that gives you temporal pleasure and has got negative consequences is potentially an addiction. So we have certain things such as, exercising. We have the opposite, which is eating. We have right now social media addiction. people are upset out there because you look at a person and you think maybe somebody died, but no, their phone is off because Zesco did their thing. Yeah.
Especially now with the load shedding.
Exactly. So people are really, really addicted to social media. They can't really do without social media. They can't be off their phone for a very long time. Yeah. So, and when something happens, they feel like there's something missing. That's the thing. But in the end, yeah, it's not as aggressive as the other addictions, but it's costing them their relationships with other people. It's costing them their happiness because they're living a virtual life, and they're pretty much excited or worried because their life is controlled by the number of likes that they have on social media. Yeah, it's affecting them to the point that they cannot concentrate on something, and it's affecting their productivity and their average because they are mainly addicted to their phones. So it has all these side effects that are there. So
the repercussions are just not tangible as compared to actual substance when we're talking about drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. The only difference with substance abuse is it's a disease. Yeah. It is a disease. No wonder it's classified as a substance abuse disorder. Yeah. So it is a disease. And it's a messed up, it's a very unique disease actually. If somebody's got a flu, we can see that, they have a flu. They can feel it that, they have a flu. And a disease is anything that gives you symptoms. Yeah, that's just it. And can be treatable or is incurable, any of that. But anything that gives you symptoms is a disease. And when you look at the symptoms in addiction, it's crazy. That's why many people fail to understand it, because while we have physical symptoms in flu and in malaria and physical symptoms in addiction it doesn't stop there, because we've got legal symptoms, we've got financial symptoms, we've got social symptoms, we've got spiritual symptoms. So it's different. No wonder there's no cure, because everybody's just trying to figure out what can be done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And I like how you've really simplified and helped us understand the science of addiction and all the dopamine and how it actually works in our body. So now I'm wondering how are you able to reverse that? Because I know you have a rehab center that you're running, Sanity House. So what strategies do you use? Because if your body has already gotten used to chasing after that 1,000, the example you gave of the quantifying the level, how do you get back and rewire it? Is there actually hope? Do you just reduce it, or can you actually get it back to normal completely?
Okay, so for people that abuse opioids, we have an extensive detox approach to them. There is treatment that's involved in giving people drugs that sort of takes everything to a certain normal extent. Yeah, so remember when we're talking about an addiction, what happens is the chemical composition in the brain changes. So that's where you start from when it comes to the physical aspect. And we start changing and sort of normalizing the dopamine. And the detox also helps get rid of things that will be craving for the drugs in the body. And it helps a person go through their normal day without having to get high or having to use. So the detox is the first aspect. But as a country, this is where we've gone wrong, because we've mainly relied on medication. So detox only helps with the physical aspect. If a person still has the mentality of an addict, they still feel like they're an addict.
So pretty much the root cause. Because
yes.
From what I'm getting is like most addicts are trying to run away from some mental or emotional thing. Yeah.
No wonder the most important question is not, do you know what's going to happen to you when you continue using? We know addiction takes you in 3 places. That's jail, rehabilitation, or the mortuary. Yeah. Or, hospitals. But that shouldn't be the question. The question of, do you know what's going to happen to you, is not really important. The question is, why are you using?
Yeah.
What is causing you to use? Why the pain? And it goes back to finding out the root cause of why a person is using. Most people that use drugs in Zambia, it's as a result of abandonment issues. That's the thing. So you have parents who are there, but they're not there because everybody's pretty much busy. So people don't really know how to parent and raise kids as it is in Zambia.
That's a very interesting thing you brought up, because I think when we talk about abandonment or think about it, we're thinking about parents who are not actually physically present, but we forget that there's the emotional part of actually being a parent that leads to that. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. In Zambia, people only raise kids from grade 1 to grade 7. That's how it is. Yeah. from grade 1 to grade 7, you know what your child is going to wear. You know the food they eat. You know the friends that they're playing with. You know their favorite color. You know their toothbrush. You pretty much know everything about them. Grade 7, they make that decision, and that decision is dependent on where they're going to go, depending on how they pass. So from grade 8 to grade 9, the keffi changes from 16 to 18.
Yeah.
Grade 10 to grade 12, parents are aging, so you're only spending at most about an hour with your children because you're coming back from work, you're tired. They're coming back from school, and you pretty much don't know what's going on with them. So the people that influence them and whoever they find in university or college or whatever has a strong, powerful presence on their decision making. So as a result, abandonment issues are actually number one. And we tend to spiritualize everything. As long as you know your memory verse, then you're good to go. But that's not how it's supposed to be. Yeah. So besides abandonment issues, we've got trauma issues. Yeah. So if you got exposed to something while you're very young and your brain was not mature enough to handle that psychologically, then there are higher chances that you most likely will get to that. And trauma comes in many forms. And the most common one is abuse that happens in the home. Yeah. So those are some of the things. Then we've got peer pressure. And then we've got curiosity, where people just want to try out different things. So we have quite a number of causes. And if those are not addressed, then there is a problem. So remember, I talked about detox first, which helps physically. Then we go to the counseling, the therapy that involves and helps a person mentally. And then there is a spiritual aspect to it as well. Yeah.
Okay. So I like how you've brought up the aspect of abandonment and childhood traumas and them showing up through addiction. So I'm wondering, a lot of parents or a lot of people in the older generations have this theory or opinion that issues to do with addiction, issues to do with drug and substance use have been on the rise in the past with our generation. Is that, do you think there's some accuracy to that? Because they even throw around words about how this generation is not as resilient as the past generation.
Times are changing. Times are changing. I was having a conversation with somebody, and with 360 back then you could buy a car. Now you're buying a bag of Milli Meal. You get what I mean? So the pressure is too much. This generation is going through a lot of unemployment, and even when people find employment, it's not enough to cover their needs.
Yeah, you need 3 or 4 employments.
Exactly. Yeah. There's an increase in divorce, and failed relationships. There's an increase in suicide. So there is so much exposure to social media. The world is moving fast. So there are many, many triggers, many, many psychological injuries that are taking place. And we're a lot. This is not like the 1980s when people were few and opportunities were many. So we're a lot. So as a result, stress levels are off the roof. And it's just the timing in itself. Every time comes with its own challenges. And unfortunately, this is a time where we're having a mental health crisis. So as a result, we're prone to see all these things that are happening.
Yeah, that's actually, so from what I'm getting, it's even as we are developing and being more innovative and having tech and all this globalization, we're having so much good that has happened over the past 20, 30 years, but that good also comes with some bad, and I think we don't actually see it that way.
Yeah. So like I said earlier, we know what to do whenever we are physically down or physically sick, but ask a person, what do you do when you're going through failure? What do you do when you lose a loved one? What do you do when your heart is broken? What do you do when you feel like you're not good enough? People don't know.
Yeah.
So despite scientifically proven methods that are there and exist, people still don't know.
So what do you think can be done about that? How do we get people to know, like, we are now the parents of the next generation? How do we get ourselves and also the generation we'll be raising to actually know?
Sensitization as well as more information on mental health, because as it stands, there's a lot of stigma against mental health related problems and a lot of ignorance when it comes to mental health in itself. So we need a lot of sensitization. The same thing that is being done in terms of financial literacy in schools and curriculums changing. people need to know how to cope and deal with stress. Otherwise, they're going to go to something that will give them a false hope. And what exactly is the false hope? Drugs and alcohol. Yeah. Because that's the only thing that will give you a perception of you're going to be happy and you're going to get rid of things. Yeah. So,
but then it's a quick fix, but not really fixing anything. Per se. Okay, that's actually very insightful. So I'm wondering, because I know you mentioned about how this is kind of taking us back. Like, how do our systems contribute as well to addiction? Because I know some countries have higher levels than others. Like, what are some of the things that actually contribute to those discrepancies that we see across different countries? Why are some communities have higher level than others? Because I'm sure the rates in Lusaka might not be the same with Copperbelt or not the same with South Africa or Uganda. Like, what are some of the factors that you've noticed?
Accessibility, availability, and affordability. Those 3 A's are a major problem. Okay. Yeah. In any, in Lusaka right now, in every residential area, you can get alcohol within 100 meters of wherever you are in any residential area. That's bad. That's really, really bad. You can get your hands on alcohol 100 meters from wherever you are, even from here. Yeah, like you have to count just 100 meters. You can get yourself alcohol anywhere. That's how bad it is. That means it's very accessible. On top of that, it's not only adults that can do that, even children can do that. So the laws in itself are really, really not encouraging. On the other hand, also, we don't have coping mechanisms. And as a nation, we've gotten to accept that, drinking is normal. And it's something that, everybody uses for fun. Look at social media over the weekend. Like, you have an event going on, but how many people are talking about it? Even a leisure event, such as, there's this thing going on, like how many people are talking about it? But then look at the emerging chill spots that are here. Yeah. In other countries, not to have anything against people that club, but in other countries, when you get to a certain extent, you cannot be admitted into a club. Yeah. But here it's chipante. Yeah. Anybody can. Other places, clubs close at 02. In other countries, clubs close at 02.
We don't have those regulations here.
Yeah, we don't have any of those. Clubs open at a specific time, but here, every day, you can get drunk every day. There are even those stories like you wake up to buy bread, but you come back drunk. So, we have all those things. Yeah. Not to say anything against people of Material. That's where I'm from, by the way. So, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a lack of options, I guess. Like when you actually think about it,
lack of recreational facilities, quite a number of things. Yeah, they're all contributing factors.
Oh, that's actually really sad to note, because that's a change that can't happen overnight. Unfortunately, it's very gradual, because it stems from the top there and trying to convince and show them the importance of investing in that. And that's actually, I feel like it's even much harder because like alcohol is bringing in so much revenue. So it's like, even as you are trying to cut down on that, generally as a nation, you should be able to replace that revenue that might be lost.
That's the same with betting companies. They're paying a lot in terms of taxes. So looking at economic hardships, what's the better option?
So there's so many systemic contributors as well, barriers as well to that. Okay, that's interesting. So looking at the work that you do at Sanity House of pretty much getting somebody who has a habit and trying to break that habit, right? Do you replace it with another habit?
We restore livelihood to normalcy and introduce sober living. We don't really replace that with another habit because there's potential for addiction. So we help with healthy coping mechanisms. That's pretty much what we do. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious to know what are some of the insights you'd share to somebody who might not really think they're addicted, but they're trying to break away from a specific habit that they feel is unhealthy. Maybe it's not as fatal, as destructive as the actual alcohol addiction or an alcoholic, but it's something that they think is just, it's a pain in their life and they want to get rid of them. What are some of the normal things or tips they can use to actually try to cut down on that? It could be maybe eating unhealthily or spending too much time on the phone. Just the usual everyday things that some people would be like, no, I want to do better at this, even though it is kind of probably feeding into their dopamine levels as well.
You have to remember, even the strongest lions hunt in a pride. So you cannot overcome something that's huge by yourself. You need to seek help. And there is hope and there is help now. You can get in touch. I deal with all sorts of addiction, like I said, from masturbation, pornography, this and that, food, gambling, this and that. And it's all from a professional aspect. Mm-hmm. And there are many others that are offering help now. Yeah. So you can seek help and you'll be able to get rid of your problem. We've seen an increase in support groups as well, even online. There are many communities online, and nobody's going to know about your identity, but you sure can get rid of what you're struggling with. On a spiritual aspect, they tend to say the devil uses your biggest secret to bring you down. So that thing that you're not talking about is causing major problems. It's causing sleepless nights. It's causing a lot of regrets. It's affecting your relationships. It's affecting your productivity. And in as much as you may look at it and say, oh, I enjoy this thing, but it's got negative consequences, you may have to get to a point where you realize to say the damage is far way greater than, the short-lived happiness. So you can seek help. And also, look at your record. It's as simple as that. Just look at the record. Look at how much impact that thing that you're struggling with is affecting you. Yeah. Just pretty much look at the record. Like, is this good for me or is this bad for me? What does my record say? And once you come to that sincere conclusion, only then can you seek help, and that opens the doors for you to get well and relieve what you're going through.
That's very, very helpful. Thank you so much for sharing. And what are you working on? What could we look out for, Daniel Mbazima, with Sanity House and the work that you're doing? Anything new that you've been up to? Anything that you're working towards?
The research, we've got a lot of information on alcohol itself, but we are researching on drugs, and we are coming up with tailored interventions that are applicable in Zambia. Yeah. We are not trying to, borrow stuff from elsewhere. Like, yes, we are getting stuff, but then we are making it more Zambian now. Yeah, to offer help. We've been trying to push also for substance abuse, laws and reforms. At least there is a policy now. Mm-hmm. So we're working with various stakeholders in terms of, offering better solutions. Yeah, there will be a big announcement coming soon. So, yeah. It's not yet confirmed, so I won't say anything.
That would be the first ones to know about it. But
sure.
Anyway, thank you so much. So how can people find you if they want to have more conversations on this, want to understand addiction and recovery better, or want your services or to be helped out? How do people find you?
You can follow our page on Facebook. It's called Sanity House Rehabilitation Center, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Yeah, and if you want to have a one-on-one or speak to me directly, my name on Facebook is Daniel C. Mbazima. So just type in Daniel C, then it will come through Daniel C. Mbazima. That's my name on Facebook. My personal phone number is 0975-849489. So I will say that again, 0975-849489. That's it.
Okay, great. I'll share the links to the social media platforms so that people can easily just click on the show notes and be directed right to it. Is there any question you wish I had asked?
I'm good.
Sure? Something we need to do. You have so much knowledge. There must be something. You're like,
No, I'm good.
Okay, we just had a very insightful conversation with Daniel Mbazima, the founder and the director of Sanity House. He is a substance use
activist,
substance use activist and a recovery coach, and he's also a public health specialist. So he taught us so much about the science of addiction, understanding how we get hooked, and the sentence was it should be cut. You've memorized it. It was all over the place. Okay, so that was Daniel C. Mbazima, a substance use activist and a recovery coach, and he's also the founder and running Sanity House, a recovery house found in Lusaka, Mutumbi area. He shared so much insightful knowledge about the science behind addiction, how people get hooked, and the different aspects and factors that contribute to addiction in Zambia. He, again, went ahead to share just how much having knowledge and being able to actually understand the root cause of what is leading to your actions is very important. Thank you so much, Daniel, for coming through. Till next time.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you for joining me till the very end. In the world of behavioral science, every ending is just the beginning of something new. Please remember to subscribe, leave a comment, and stay tuned for more adventures in behavioral science as we continue our journey towards a healthier, more informed decision making. Until then, stay curious, stay vigilant, stay healthy. This is Tabo Lukato Hadunka signing off from Reclamation.